Solid Foundation Israelite Academy coming at you guys again. Hope all is well. Peace to the family and friends out there. This is another edition concerning the gates of hell. This lesson is entitled The Gates of Hell. I am your host, Shabar Judah ben Israel. So let's get into the lesson. We are doing this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus the Christ. Without further ado, double honors to the elders, salutations to the brothers. Let's get into the lesson. Now we're dealing with Matthew 16:17. That is in the King James KJV Bible. Matthew 16, beginning with verse 17. We're going to read from verse 17. We will stop on verse 19 out of Matthew 16. So we're going to break down this section right here concerning the gates of hell. So let's get into it. Matthew 16:17. And it reads, And Jesus, Yahweh Shai, answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven, or in the heavens. Because the reason why this was stated, because when you read above, Yahweh Shai came into the coasts of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked his disciples a question, saying, Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And to make a long story short, Simon Peter answered and said unto him, Thou art the Christ, which is Hamashiach, the anointed, the Son of the living power. Okay, and then this what leads to Matthew 16:17. Yahweh Shai, who they called Jesus, answered and said unto Simon Barjona, which is Peter, we'll break that down, said, For flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in the heavens hath revealed it. Because Peter came out and said that Yahweh Shai was the Hamashiach, the anointed one, the chosen, the Christ. All right. So Matthew 16:18. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Matthew 16:19, which is the last verse, and we're going to cover from verse 17 to 19. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom and of heaven. I will give thee the keys of kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on the earth, thou shalt be bound in the heavens. And whatsoever thou shalt loose on the earth, shall be loosed in the heavens. So let's break this down. So now we're going to do a review and cover verse 17, stopping on 19, to give you the edification of these verses here concerning the gates of hell. So what is simply the gates of hell? What is the simple gates of hell? Because you can see in Matthew 16:18, Yahweh Shai said unto Peter that upon this rock I will build my church. He said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. A lot of brothers and sisters are asking the question, what is the gates of hell? So we're going to give it to you. When you go back in 17, we're going to cover everything now. When you go back in 17, this is what Yahweh Shai, who they call Jesus, answered and said unto him, who is Peter. He said, Blessed art thou, which is you, Simon Barjona. So when you look at Simon, and Concordance, let's go into the Strong's Concordance, the interlinear, and let's look at Simon. So when you look at Simon, that's Greek 4613, or you could say 4613. So when you click into that, which is Simon in the Greek, when you click into it, we're going to break everything down now. It says Strong's G 4613 or 4613, however you want to put it, which is Simon in the Greek, and it says Peter, a rock or stone. Peter was one of the apostles. So you can see that's talking about Peter. Don't want you guys to get confused. You shouldn't get confused, but I don't want you to get confused because you'll see right here Simon Barjona, and then you'll see right here Peter. These two are the same person. Okay. Another name for Peter is Simon Barjona. That's the same as Peter. Don't get confused here. These two are the same. All right. It says Barjona. So when you go into the Greek, Barjona. All right, which is Greek 920. All right. And it says Strong's G 920. All right, which is Byronia in the Greek, which is Barjona, son of Jonah. You can see right here it says the surname of the apostle Peter. So Barjona, son of Jonah, the surname of the apostle Peter. This is the same person. In the Greek, Baronia, I believe. Greek 920. So Barjona is the same as Peter. Don't want you guys to get confused when you're reading the texts. So we can see Matthew 16:17 says, Yahushua answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Barjona. Simon Barjona is Peter, the same person here in Matthew 16:18. For flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in the heavens. Okay? So, we're going to cover 18 now. Verse 18, and I say unto thee, thou art Peter. Now, what does Peter mean? Okay? We're going into the Greek again. We're going into Greek 4074. Or you can say 4074, which is Petros. Petros in the Greek. Peter is Petros in the Greek. Okay, and that's Strong's G 4074, or you can say 4074. Petros. Now, Peter right here, it means a rock or a stone. That's what Peter means. And it goes back to the Greek Petros, which means rock or a stone. Also, Peter was one of the 12 disciples of Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Now, when we go back to get better understanding, we have to use the concordance. So when you're studying the Bible, please have your Strong's Concordance at hand. So, with that being said, I say also unto thee, Matthew 16:18, that thou art Petros, which Peter, Petros, in the Greek, which means rock, says, and upon this rock, which is Peter, Petros, he says, I would build my church. All right. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So, Peter was put in charge, brothers and sisters, and Peter was a so-called black man. Peter was not a white man, because you'll see many of these images of Peter, and the scholars claim that Peter was a Caucasian white man, but Peter was a so-called black man today. You'll see pictures like such as these. Let's pull up some images of so-called Peter, what they would label Peter to be today. See, it says the apostle Peter. Peter was not a white man, because the so-called white man loves to gain credit from our history. He loves taking credit on our history, because the Bible is a book of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the modern day Israelites today, known as the lost 12 tribes, the people of Negro and Indian descent. And the so-called white man loves to steal our credit, to steal our history. So don't get caught up believing that this is Peter the apostle. There are many images of the so-called white man claiming that Peter the apostle look such as you see here. But none of these images are correct, because Peter the apostle was a Jew. And we should know that the Jews, the ancient Jews, were melanated people, people of melanation. So Peter was from the tribe of Judah, okay? Peter being from the tribe of Judah, all right? That what made Peter a so-called black man. Why do I say that? Because we should know that Jeremiah 14:2, Jeremiah 14:2, we already have covered this lesson concerning the biblical imagery of the Jews, but we'll just give you this book, chapter, and verse here. We already know Jeremiah 14:2 says that Judah mourneth. Now, who is Judah? Judah is the Jews. Judah mourneth. So that's where you get the term Jew from. You get the term Jew from Judah, because Judah for short is Jew, as you can see here. So when you're talking about the Jews, you're talking about Judah, because all the Jews are descendant of Judah. Judah was the fourth son of Jacob, and all the Jews came from out of Judah's bloodline. So Judah being short is Jew. Judah was a black man. It's telling you right here, the Jews mourn in the gates thereof language, right? They are black into the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. So the ancient biblical Jews were people of melanation, black people. They are black. So the Jews, Judah says in Jeremiah 14:2, they are black. So if they are black, brothers and sisters, question is, how do we get such images as Peter being a Jew? How do we get such images like these today? Now that's another lesson within itself, because I don't want to get into the melanation of the Jews, but I'm just showing you that don't get caught up into these images, because Peter did not look anything as you see here. Peter was a Jew, and we already know, according to the text, Jeremiah 14:2 says the Jews mourn that they are black into the ground. So Peter was a Jew. That was just a little extra added to this lesson. So that thou art Peter, and upon this rock, Peter means Petros in the Greek, upon this rock, says, I would build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So Peter, he was the rock, you can say, a rock or a stone. One of the 12 disciples. He was also one of the 12 disciples of Yahushua. And what he was saying is basically that upon this rock will I build my church. Now, let me give you a precept too. Upon this rock will I build my church, because there's a precept to that. So Peter was put in charge. He was put in charge to be what you would call the elite of the church. Peter was put in charge to be the elite of the church. So he tells Peter, going back to Petros, which means rock, he would put him in charge to be the elite of the church, to be that truth, that solid foundation, to be that rock, all right, which is Petros back to the Greek. And he said, upon the rock will he build his church. Now let me give you a cross reference or a precept too. Upon this rock will I build my church. Okay. Now this is a parable that was told by Yahushua, who they call Jesus the Christ. And this is a cross reference to line up to Matthew 16. And as we was going across, he said, Peter, Petros, upon this rock will I build my church. This is a cross reference, Matthew 7:24. We'll stop down on the 27th verse. Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine, this is what the Messiah is saying, and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. Okay? Matthew 7:25, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. See that? And every one of them, and everyone that hears these sayings of mine and does them not, shall be like a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And when the rain descended and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. See that? So it's telling you that in Matthew 7:24, therefore whosoever hears these sayings of mine and do them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. So that rock is the solid foundation. That rock is Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who they call the Messiah. He's also known as the chief cornerstone, which is the rock, but it's also in reference to Matthew 16 and I believe Matthew 16 and 18 right here. And I say unto thee also, thou art Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church. So Peter was a forerunner of the Messiah. You can say that Apostle Peter was the forerunner of the. I'm not gonna say the forerunner. How should I say this? You could say that Apostle Peter was the apostle that was put in charge to be the embodiment, or you can say the personification, or you may say the paradigm of the Messiah. And upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So what is the gates of hell that shall not prevail against it? What is the gates of hell? The gates of hell is like false doctrines that is being pushed into the world today. The gates of hell is false doctrines, philosophies, things in that nature. Falsehood, philosophy, deceits, religions that don't hold true, false religions, denominations, things in that nature. Those are considered in the community of the gates of hell. So to speak, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. All these false prophets, false doctrines, these dogmatic teachings, falsehood, philosophy, deceits, diverse false religions, doctrines, and things in that nature. All of this shall not prevail in the last days and time. Why? Because the truth shall spring out of the earth and tear down these false strongholds. That's what it's saying. So the gates of hell shall not prevail, because we know that religions, denominations is false. That God did never give us religion or denomination, but he gave the children of Israel, which are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, he gave us laws, statutes, and commandments to abide by, to keep. So these gates of hell, which is these strange, diverse teachings and religions and these new philosophies in the earth, they shall not prevail against this truth that's being taught in the last days, man. Okay? That's what it's talking about. To make a long story short. Okay? So the gates of hell is things that brings you into captivity. Physically, mentally, and spiritually. Okay? So those are the gates of hell. All right? Continuing on. It says right here in Matthew 16:19, and I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom. What is the keys of the kingdom? What is the keys of the kingdom of heaven? The keys of the kingdom of heaven is true knowledge of the scriptures. The keys of the kingdom of heaven is the deep, dark knowledge, edification of the scriptures. Everybody don't have the keys of the kingdom of heaven because simply they don't have true knowledge of the scriptures. They don't have true knowledge of the breakdowns, the parables, the allegories, the similitudes, the metaphors, and the prophecies of this Bible. They don't have the appropriate true breakdown to these scriptures, so therefore they don't have the keys of the kingdom. There are some things in the Bible hard to be understood. So to have the keys of the kingdom of heaven is to have the true knowledge of these scriptures, to be able to understand these parables, allegories, similitudes, and metaphors to be able to understand these prophecies in the last days. That is simply the keys of the kingdom. All right. So we'll give you Daniel 12 and 4, because I'm just making a long thing. I'm making a long lesson short. Daniel 12 and 4, because brothers and sisters, you should know this by now, but if you don't, it's okay. Daniel 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words. He told Daniel to shut up the words during his time. It said, and seal the book even to the time of the end. So the book being sealed is the book being locked. The breakdowns of this Bible being locked. The parables, allegories, similitudes, and metaphors. The prophecies of this Bible being locked. He said, seal the book even into the time of the end. The time of the end is now. Says, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So knowledge shall be increased in the end time. What is that true knowledge of the scriptures? The keys of the kingdom. But long ago, you know, the true knowledge of the parables, allegories, similitudes, and metaphors of this Bible, the prophecies of this Bible, they were sealed until what time? To the time of the end. These last days is now. And therefore you can see the knowledge in these days and times shall be increased, because this is the information age. This is the information era of time, where the Most High say he will pour out his spirit in the last days. Knowledge shall be increased. So now brothers and sisters are gaining brothers and sisters are gaining true knowledge, and they are getting the keys to the kingdom of heaven, which is the true knowledge of the scriptures. Because back then in Daniel's time, it was sealed. Now let me show you something. Revelation 22 and 10. Revelation 22 and 10. It says, and he said unto me, right here, he said unto me, this is John the Revelator, this is what the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, said to him, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. See, so now the seal is broken, because now we are in that information age, and the Most High is pouring out his spirit to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to receive the keys of the kingdom, which is the true knowledge of the scriptures. Because right here in Daniel time, back in Daniel time, it was sealed until appropriate time. Now Revelation 22 and 10, he tells John the Revelator, seal not the sayings. So for him to seal not the sayings is for him to open and unlock the breakdowns and parables and allegories, similitudes, metaphors, and prophecies of the Bible. It says, and of the prophecy of this book, he told him, now don't seal it, for the time is at hand. The time of the kingdom is at hand. You see that? So like I said, brothers and sisters, let's go to Revelation 8 and 12. Revelation 8 and 12. I didn't put the B, but you can see Revelation 8 and 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten. I will break it down for you. It says, in the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not, for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So what is this talking about? What is this talking about? Revelation 8, brothers and sisters, Revelation the 8th chapter, it's talking about the seven trumpets. It's talking about the seven trumpets. Look at my video about the breakdown on the seven trumpets. Look at that, S.F.I.A, the breakdown on the seven trumpets. We're reading right here, Revelation 18:12. Revelation 8:12. So Revelation 8:12 talks about the fourth angel. Now, the fourth angel right here, it said the fourth angel sounded, because it's talking about these seven trumpets that these angels sounded. So Revelation 8 and 12 is talking about a fourth angel that sounded. That fourth angel that sounded, that was talking about, this is basically talking about the knowledge that was taken away from Israel. The fourth angel that sounded, this is talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, back a long time ago, that the knowledge was taken from you because you disobeyed the Most High's commands. So when that fourth angel sounded it, it says the third part of the sun was smitten. Now the sun represents intellect. The sun represents enlightenment and knowledge. That's why to enlighten someone is to what? To brighten someone. That's why if you're dumb, people tell you that you're not so bright. What does that mean? That means that you doesn't have a certain degree of enlightenment. You're not intelligent. You're not intellectual. So the third part of the sun was smitten. That's the knowledge that was taken away from the Israelites because the sun, moon, and stars. Let me break that down. The sun represents wisdom. Okay, the sun represents wisdom. The moon represents knowledge. And the stars represents understanding. So a third part of the sun was smitten. Wisdom was taken from the Israelites. And the third part of the moon, knowledge was taken from the Israelites. And the third part of the stars, understanding was taken from the Israelites. So as the third part of them was darkened, the Israelites forgot who they were. Because we know the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans discontinued from their heritage. They discontinued from their heritage pursuing the Jeremiah, what that is, 17:4, I believe. Jeremiah 17:4, let's check that out. Jeremiah 17:4, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. So when the Most High told Israel to keep his commandments and they did not, they pissed him off. And you know what he did? He says that he said he would do it. He said, you shall tell the Israelites. He said that Jeremiah told the Israelites, because the Most High tells Jeremiah to tell the Israelites that for not keeping his commandments, they shall discontinue from their heritage. Your heritage is your language, your culture, your way of living. The Israelites would discontinue from that. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans that he gave you, and he will cause you to serve your enemies in the land which thou knowest not. And that land which you know is not about is America today. Okay, which is Babylon the Great. For you have kindled a fire in my anger. So the Israelites discontinue from their heritage. And that's pursuant to Revelation 18. I don't know why I say Revelation 18, Revelation 8. That's pursuant to Revelation 8 of the sun, the wisdom, the moon, the knowledge, the stars, and the understanding being taken away from Israel. So as the third part of them was darkened because they discontinued from their heritage, and the day shone not for a third part of it in the night likewise. So that's talking about right here in Revelation 18:12, that knowledge that was taken away from Israel because they disobeyed the Most High's commands. They became defiant nation of people. They didn't listen to the Most High, and so they disobeyed, and the Most High caused them to discontinue from their heritage. And discontinue from your heritage is right here. The sun being smitten, the moon being smitten, the stars being smitten. That's all that is. Sun, moon, and stars represents wisdom. Sun represents wisdom. Moon represents knowledge. And the stars represents understanding. Okay? So Israel disobeyed the Most High, and he smote the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding of Israel. But as we were saying concerning in Matthew 16 and 19, he was saying that basically he would give us the keys of the kingdom, man. Okay, so he would give us the keys of the kingdom in Matthew 16:19. Even though blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans' knowledge, wisdom, and understanding was taken away, he would give us those keys to the kingdom in those last days. He would give the keys back to us. So you can say the Most High just took the keys from us, and taking the keys from the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans was taking the sun, which is the wisdom, taking the moon, which is the knowledge, and taking the stars, which is the understanding. He took that wisdom from us, that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from us, but he's giving those keys back today. And I'll show you how he's doing that in so many ways. because he's giving those keys back. If you go to I believe this is in 2nd Ezra 5:1 in the apocryphal books. This is the apocryphal that was taken out the Bible during the early 18th century by the Roman Catholic Protestants. They removed these 14 books from your King James Bible, and a couple years later they gave you a King James Bible with only 60 books. Only 66 books. Before the apocryphal was moved, the King James 1611 right here had a total of 80 books within it, but after the Roman Catholic Protestants removed the apocryphal books in the year of I believe this was the 1800s, they removed these books from the King James 1611. They removed these books and left you with the original King James, which is 66 books today. One of these books in the apocryphal books is known as 2nd Ezra, so we're going to head over to show you how the Most High, even though he took the knowledge and wisdom from Israel pursuant to Revelation 18:12, he took the knowledge and wisdom from Israel. I'm going to show you in the apocryphal books dealing with 2nd Ezra chapter 5 how he would give that knowledge back to the nation of Israel, which is the keys of the kingdom. This is 2nd Ezra King James Version in the apocryphal. Says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of the truth shall be hidden. And that's when the Most High took that away from us, as I was showing you in Revelation 18:12, when he had smitten the sun, the moon, and the stars. That was that royal knowledge that was taken from Israel. So it says, the way of the truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But I want to show you something in 2nd Ezra 5. Let's look at the second verse. 2nd Ezra 5 and the second verse. Hope you can see it. Let's blow it up a little bit. It says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. We're going to continue to read on. And it says that in the land that thou seest, now to have root shalt thou see way suddenly. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after that third trumpet, dealing with the account of Israel, after that third trumpet, that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, in the moon thrice, in the day thrice is 3 times. So he says, after the third trumpet, here, where we at? He says, thou shalt see after the third trumpet, because these trumpets, going back to Revelation, the 8th chapter, dealing with these trumpets, he said after the third trumpet, you see right here, Revelation 8:10, the third angel sounded. He said after that third trumpet, he said eventually, pursuant to the fourth, he said eventually after that third trumpet, he said that the sun shall suddenly shine again. That's that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that will be restored back to Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that was taken from you, that shall be restored to you in the last days. So that's exactly what Matthew 16 is talking about when it mentions that Matthew 16:19, and I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom, man. That's that knowledge, the true knowledge of the scriptures being restored back to the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, because that was taken from us long time ago because of the disobedience. Now that we are returning to keep the Most High's laws, he's giving us that knowledge and wisdom and understanding, because that's the very reason why the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding was taken from us. That's the reason why the Most High took the keys from us. He took the keys of the kingdom from the children of Israel because they did not obey his commandments. When you start to keep the Most High commandments and call his commandments to mind and do them, he will be gracious and merciful to you to give you the keys back. And the keys of the kingdom of heaven is that royal knowledge, man. That royal intellect, that royal knowledge to be able to understand the breakdowns, the parables, the allegories, similitudes, metaphors, and the prophecies of this book, man. And that's why if you're not keeping the laws, the Most High is going. You're not getting the keys. You gotta, in order to get the keys of the kingdom, you must keep the law, man. I'm gonna show you this. This is Psalms 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord Yahweh, He exists. The fear of the Lord Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. So, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, man. And we should know what the fear is. The fear of the Most, when you fear the Most High, you keep His commandments, man. The fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do His commandments. See, a good understanding, because when you keep the commandments, He makes sure that you rest in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So it says, a good understanding have all they that do His commandments. His praise endureth forever. So in order to have that royal wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you must be exercising the righteous acts. You must be rehearsing the righteous acts, exercising, doing these laws, statutes, and commandments to have a good understanding. When you don't keep the laws, statutes, and the commandments, you don't have no good understanding. And that is the keys of the kingdom, that royal knowledge of the scriptures. And when you don't keep the commandments, you're not going to get the keys, man. Israel didn't keep the commandments of the Most High. So what He did, He took the keys of the kingdom away from Israel. That's what it's talking about. But now He's restoring those keys to the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You see? And that's why He said what He said. He said in Matthew 16 and 19, He said, and I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. That knowledge. That's why you see the brothers, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's why you see them breaking down the scriptures. They can go into the book, chapter, and verses. They can break it down. They can break it down correctly. They can give it to you. They can analyze the scriptures. They can give it to you piece by piece and in its appropriate order, because that's the keys of the kingdom. That's, that true royal knowledge that is being restored to the chosen. You see, whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth, whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth, thou shalt bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on the earth, He says thou shalt loose in the heavens, man. And that's just going back to the Most High's will being done on the earth as it be in the heaven. See, the bind on the earth, if you bound on the earth, okay, it says bound on the earth is bound in the heaven, and loose on the earth is loose in the heaven. So that goes back to whatsoever thou shalt loose. Wait a minute. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth, thou shalt bind in the heavens. So the Most High will must be done, because when you read in Matthew 6th chapter, I believe beginning with the 9th verse, the Our Father prayer, the outer one Palau, it says that will in the text of the Our Father prayer says, let thy will be done on earth as it be done in the heavens. So that's just talking about the Most High's will being done. You know what I'm saying? So you can't bind the will of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? You have to rehearse the righteous acts. Because if you bind the will of the Most High on the earth, He's going to bound in the heavens, man. So whatsoever thou shalt loose on the earth, thou shalt loose in heaven. So it's time to rehearse the righteous acts in order to receive the keys of the kingdom, that royal knowledge and understandings, man. That's all it's talking about. So I hope you was edified, brothers and sisters, concerning the gates of hell and the keys of the kingdom of heaven. This has been another awesome lesson on the behalf of Solid Foundation Israelite Academy. I'm your host, your boy Judah Ben Israel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share the truth with others. Till next time,